Phil Jackson Lakers three-peat. When Phil was appointed in 1999, the Lakers were a good team, maybe even an excellent team. But they had undoubtedly lost their winning touch. They hadn't won a title since Pat Riley won in 1988, and while they had reached the playoffs 5 years running, they hadn't made the NBA Finals in years. After dominating basketball in the 1990s with the Chicago Bulls, Jackson was the natural choice for the Lakers. The new coach was given a 5-year, $30 million deal and a mandate to call the shots. But Phil didn't see his role as turning the team around, but as maximizing the talent and potential already there. In his first press conference, the coach said, "I think in looking at this basketball team, this is a team that is talented. It's young. It's on the verge." Indeed, Jackson had plans to come to the Lakers while still in Chicago. More than once, he speculated that center Shaquille O'Neal would function perfectly in his signature triangle offense. The Lakers had too many cooks in the kitchen during the 1990s, and one name loomed larger than any. Jerry West had contributed more than anyone else to the greatness of the Lakers. But a winning team needs someone to have the final say, and Phil had no doubts about who that should be. Him. Brian Shaw remembers when Phil loudly yelled at West, "Get the F out of my locker room," in front of the team. This process ended with the logo being pushed out of the team he had essentially put on the map. But Jackson would abide no rival. The Jackson-coached Lakers were dominant right off the bat. They sprinted to a 67-15 1999-2000 regular season. Indeed, the team was the first in history to rack up 3 double-figure winning streaks in one regular season. But reaching the playoffs was not LA's problem in the 1990s. It was what happened when they got there. The first round was challenging, as the Lakers faced the classic Vlade Divac and Chris Webber-era Sacramento Kings, but beat them off in 5. Next, Jason Kidd and the Phoenix Suns did not cause many problems for Jackson's triangle offense. But the Portland Trail Blazers were a different story altogether. That excellent team was built around 3 players: Scottie Pippen, Steve Smith, and Rasheed Wallace, and they had a lot of spirit in them. The Lakers got off to a strong start and coasted to a 3-1 lead in the series. But then the Blazers won 96-88 in a phenomenal defense performance at the Garden before evening things up in Oregon. That set up an epic Game 7 in LA. The home team was down 13 in the fourth quarter, but an emphatic Bryant emphasized a crazy rally to Shaq's alley-oop that brought the roof down. The Larry Bird-coached Pacers did their best in the final, but they never had answers for Shaq, who unanimously won NBA Finals MVP. Jackson's first season in LA was incredibly impressive, but the second was off the charts. The regular season was fine, but Jackson recorded a significantly weaker record than in the previous season, with a mere 56-26 regular season record. But who cares about the regular season? It's all about the post. And some pundits consider the 2000-2001 Lakers the best playoff team ever. Their dominance was so thorough and complete that none of the series were competitive. That team went 15-1 in the postseason. That translates to a 93% winning percentage. No team has ever matched that, and it's entirely possible none ever will. The playoffs started with the Blazers, who had been nursing a grudge over Game 7, which many of their fans believed had been rigged. But Portland's hopes for revenge were dashed on the brutal rocks of reality. The Lakers swept them in 3 games, and none of those were close either. The Kings were swept next. The West Conference Finals pitted Phil's Chargers against Greg Popovich's San Antonio Spurs. The Texas team won the 1998 title and finished the season with the best record in the NBA. Therefore, basketball fans expected a gritty and hard-fought series from a team featuring the Twin Towers, David Robinson and Tim Duncan. But it ended up being an embarrassing performance for the Spurs. Robinson admitted that as a team, they did everything. They beat us to loose balls, got rebounds, made shots, and were fantastic. After that terrific series, the Lakers became prohibitive favorites in the NBA Finals. Allen Iverson and the Sixers were not seen as adversaries capable of stopping Jackson's triangle offense juggernaut. But Game 1 saw Iverson light the Lakers up with 48 points on the way to a surprising 107-101 victory. It was the first loss the Lakers experienced in the playoffs that year. But there was to be no massive upset. Once again, Shaq won the NBA Finals MVP, despite Dikembe Mutombo's best attempts to stymie the center. After their unfathomably dominant form in the 2001 playoffs, the Lakers were massive favorites to retain the title. But after an impressive 16-1 start, injuries took their toll on the team. Los Angeles fought their way to a 58-24. That was tied for the second-best record in the West alongside the Spurs and behind Sacramento. But that did not really dent the Lakers' status as overwhelming favorites. Observers had learned their lesson and knew that Jackson and his charges played on another level come playoff time. Indeed, LA started with a strong sweep of the unfortunate Trailblazers in the first round. The Spurs would be brutally disappointed if they hoped to get their revenge. They narrowly avoided being swept in a comprehensive 4-1 defeat. However, the Western Conference Finals were a different story. The series against Sacramento was, without a doubt, the most difficult the Lakers played in that magical three-peat era. That 7-game series was so fiercely contested that there are still conspiracy theories that the refs swung it the Lakers' way. But be that as it may, it was LA that made the finals, where they swept the Nets. The following year, the Lakers finally lost to San Antonio in the Western Conference semifinals. The incredible streak of titles was over, but it was utterly historic. No other coach has won 3 titles with 2 different teams in a row. This achievement stands at the center of the convincing argument that Phil Jackson is the greatest NBA coach ever. When people talk about Jackson, they often mention the triangle offense, and that certainly seems to have worked wonders. But the secret to the Zen Master's success was getting massive egos to cooperate in pursuing a single goal. After all, Kobe and Shaq had been in Los Angeles since 1996, but they couldn't quite get it together until Jackson arrived. Kobe remembers that this required some high-level manipulation. The guard said Jackson would see the friction between myself and Shaquille and say, "Okay, how can I use that? I know Kobe has a passion for playing, so come hell or high water, it doesn't matter what's going on in his personal life. Doesn't matter what's happening here with the team. He's gonna show up and perform no matter what. Shaq is more emotional. If something was going on, he won't. So I got to figure out how to create a wedge between myself and Kobe, because that brings me closer to Shaquille and helps me better manage Shaq." So that was his ability to manage the team, which was absolutely brilliant. O'Neal also believes that Jackson's tricks brought out the best in him. For example, Shaq remembered, he would just say something like, "You're not ready." And I'm like, "I can't be ready if this guy's shooting all the shots." So he would say something to me, and I'd throw it right back. Genius work. Despite his reputation as a mellow spiritual hippie, Phil was a hard-driving and cunning coach. He understood human emotion better than any psychologist, and knew how to get in his players' heads in the best possible way. After all, when you have players like Shaq and Kobe, or MJ and Pippen for that matter, the important part isn't which play to run, it is how to get the best out of the legends at your disposal.